You're listening to Breakaway Wealth, the show designed to help you build wealth faster, think bigger, and break out of the herd. Now, here's your host, Jim Oliver. Before we jump into today's show, we have some exciting news to share with you. Our brand new online community platform is now live. Get access to free on-demand, in-depth training courses on topics like infinite banking, cryptocurrency, real estate investing, and much more. Just go to community.createtailwind.com. That's community.createtailwind.com, or check out the show notes of this episode to find the direct link to request to join the community. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today, Kyle Bourne. Welcome, Kyle.
Hey, thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Kyle, just to get us started, tell everybody a little bit about where you're from, what you do, and we'll get into how you got there.
Sounds good. Sure. I live in Louisville, Kentucky right now. We've been here for about the last 3 years. Originally, I'm from the Orlando area, a little town called Winter Park. But yeah, moved up here right in the middle of COVID. That was a lot of fun.
I'll bet. Especially when Kentucky's shutting down and Florida staying open, right?
Yeah. No, it was kind of like we stepped back in time a little. I've got 4 kids as well. So, everybody back home was, all the kids were going to school. And then we got told we were going to be doing remote learning for about a month and a half. And I think my wife almost went crazy, but we survived, but we're loving it up here. It's a great place.
That's awesome. The winters are okay. When you're down here in Florida, as you know, and I know, your body gets a little adjusted. So 60 seems pretty cold.
Yeah. I feel like the blood's definitely thickened a little bit over the last few years. And I love the seasons. We used to come up here. My wife is from here originally. So, we came up a bunch and had a great time. And, I love having the seasons, but I will say the biggest adjustment was this term that I had never heard of called the golf season. That was a little tough. I thought, December 31st to January 1st, right? And I was disabused of that pretty quickly come the winter.
Yeah, you said you were thinking in season. That's just when I pay a little bit more to play golf, right? But that's how I think of this in season, right?
Exactly.
Golf courses raise all their prices. So Kyle, tell everybody what you do.
Sure. So I have a company called Unbridled Living, and we focus on the active adult sector, and that is, 55 plus. So the two best ways I could describe it, it's, it's combining multifamily meets independent living. So it's really, you're not providing any care services. You're not providing dining. It really is more like age-restricted multifamily targeting the sector that's looking to downsize from their home, but not yet ready for the full care and services that you would need in a typical seniors housing community.
I love that because, again, being in Florida, as you know, and especially where I'm at in Florida, I think Orlando's a lot younger than the Naples area, but, you see people and, at 58, I see people and I think, okay, that's where I'm going to be 20, 30 years from now. And you see them making a transition and, to me, I don't want it to ever be like this sad thing. I want there to be options where, I'm independent. I'm playing golf, and I've played golf. In fact, in Orlando, with a guy who was 96 years old.
Yeah.
And when somebody got a birdie, and they were doing these birdie shot things that I didn't do, but a 96-year-old, I think he had 2 fireball shots, and then had a cocktail afterwards. And I said, I want to be that guy someday.
Yeah.
Not the drinking. Not that I need the drinking part, but the fact that he could do that at 96 and still got in his car and drove home. Anyway, okay, so senior living, but not assisted living, really. How did you get into that?
Yeah, so my experience. I've spent about the last 15 years of my career doing seniors housing and a lot of other sectors too. I mean, pretty much everything but student housing and self storage. But the bulk of my career has been in the seniors housing space. And so one of the things that I think that it really attracted me to want to target the active adult sector is you look at there's been a problem everybody's been discussing in the seniors housing industry for the last 10 years. It is, how do you solve for that middle market?
Yeah.
Somebody who's not going to be not able to afford paying, 3,500 to 6,000 and up, kind of depending where you're at, a month for care and for that at that stage in their life. And it's a challenge. The biggest challenge is, and the thing that I believe we are solving is that affordability factor. And it's
Right.
hard to do under typical, seniors housing, because you are providing the care. There's a lot of heavy, fixed operating expenses. You have, depending on, the size of the community, you've got anywhere from 30 to 60 employees that
Right.
are in this thing. You got dining, the food, and all the activities, everything that you're having to do. And it's hard to be able to charge in standard seniors housing under the typical model. It's hard to be able to get your rates high enough and keep them low enough to be able to be profitable. And so the thing that I think the solution for that problem is the active adult sector, where you are not providing that care, you're not providing the dining. However, you're providing age restricted multifamily. And one thing I think is important to point out is the average age of somebody moving into active adult communities is 72 to 74 years old, versus, assisted living or even independent living, which is about 82 or 83 years old. So you are still targeting that older population. And, what we can do is somebody can live in, as you were pointing out, independently, that 96-year-old guy who's golfing and doing that, you can live in one of these communities. And what we will do is we'll partner with, local home health groups. If there's anything any type of services that they need beyond, somebody who absolutely needs to be in a place where they are getting, 24/7 care, you can get all of that and still live in your home environment, still live as independently as you want to, until it's absolutely clear that you need something else.
So, again, I'm thinking about this from like an investment operational perspective. If I am investing or owning assisted living facilities, I mean, people are in those assisted living facilities for what, 3 to 5 years, something like that.
Yeah, that's a fair. I mean, it kind of depends on your acuity level, but yeah, that's a good estimate, 3 to 5 years.
And it sounds like the people that are going to be in your communities are going to be in there, double or triple that, somewhere in that range. I mean, as an
Yeah.
average, right? I mean, obviously the 96-year-old guy would still be there,
Yeah.
but which is great. I mean, he'd be in there 20 some years. But I like that because, as you know, turnover costs money. You have to have staff to show people
Hmm.
the facility and move the other people out and so on. And it's also this, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but it's a little less sad environment, right?
Yes.
It's not like, oh yeah, Barbara, yep, she didn't make it. It's like that's not happening on a regular basis. It's, hey, Barbara's moving on because she needs more help.
That's right.
And so I like that. Are you looking for investors? What kind of investor do you look for, Kyle? Who
Sure.
have you seen? Who's kind of your ideal client?
Yeah. So my ideal client, and first to your point, yeah, you're looking at a longer time frame on the residents here. So that's something that I think is a huge plus for, both for, as owners, as investors in this community, but also too for the residents. They can have that length of stay, and correct. It's not as nearly as sad of an environment.
Yeah.
We like to. It's active adult for a reason, right? It's
Yeah.
not. the other. But yeah, so my tip, the perfect investor for me is somebody who's a accredited investor, and somebody who's looking for, the strategy that we're pursuing right now is acquiring older, distressed seniors housing communities, like we were talking about, communities that are struggling because they can't raise rates enough to keep up with newer communities. They might have a lot of debt coming due, and refinancing at today's rates is a little scary. So what we're doing is we're coming in and we're buying these older communities for, I'd like to say between $45,000 and $75,000 a unit, which is extremely below replacement cost. And so we're looking to renovate those a little bit as we need to, but convert them from these assisted living community, the model for that just doesn't work, and turn it into the active adult model that we believe does work and provides a great return. So our investors, yes, they're looking for total return, but also depending on how quickly we can get the transition and from the seniors housing community to the active adult community, and depending too, there's some instances where you have independent living residents who are already in these communities but are perfectly qualified for active adult.
Right.
There is, so somebody who, their goal is a total return, but there will also be some current income once we can get these communities leased up high enough to where they're obviously covering debt service and, get into the, I'd like to say in the 80% occupancy. There are some short-term, some early distributions, income that can occur. But again, we really like somebody who's looking for that total return type of an investment.
Right. Somebody that this isn't their lunch money.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't need it like, hey, I thought I was going to get, whatever dividend, that. Yeah. So look, just so that we're clear, because I think sometimes people are in the audience and they're like, accredited investor. I don't know if I'm an accredited investor. So just go through those rules real quick.
Yeah, sure. So accredited investors, somebody who's got $1 million net worth, not including their house. And they recently changed it as well. But I believe it's 200 for an individual income level of $200,000 a year. And as a couple, I believe it's $300,000 a year. They've introduced, the SEC's introduced some, if you're a quote unquote professional in real estate or investment, then you could qualify under that as well. But yeah, it's, the biggest thing is that $1 million net worth, not including the house.
Right. So I think, sometimes I think people think, well, I'm not an accredited investor, but you probably, a lot of people are.
Probably are. Yeah.
So, okay. So then, is there any times where you go in and you take a multifamily property and you convert it to this, or is it mostly you're converting the other way?
Yeah, you can definitely take a multifamily building and convert it to active adult. There are so many similarities from, unlike assisted living or memory care, you don't really have, those stricter qualifications on the construction side to do. So yes, you can. I think the biggest challenge right now on converting multifamily to active adult is the fact that, people who own multifamily communities or apartment buildings, they're still thinking that their buildings are, worth a 4 cap on an exit. They haven't really. I think this is changing from everything I've seen in my experience. People are starting to realize that the world has changed a little bit over the last 12, 16 months. But that is the one challenge on the multifamily side of converting, is just getting the right price. And whereas I do think the seniors housing industry it is coming to the realization much sooner than multifamily, that there's trouble, especially, if you're an owner of one of these communities, whether you're a REIT or, somebody who maybe owns only, 1, 2, or 3 of these communities. When you're, not covering debt service, and you're starting to have those conversations with lenders, you start wondering, okay, put yourself in their shoes. It's like, okay, I either need to dump, $2 or $3 million into my building to get this to where I can charge the kind of rates that the newer competition in the market is charging, or, I'm just struggling through and figuring out how to work something out with the lender. And during COVID, a lot of lenders were, there was an understanding, right? This is a, once in a lifetime event. The lenders were pretty forgiving in working through, defaults, whether technical or, much more serious. But that's changing. And there is just this understanding, like you either have to be, meeting your covenants, and you've got to get your revenue up and control your expenses, or, what do? The other alternative is you put a lot of the money in, and a lot of folks are just like, and at the end of the day, I don't want to put that money into this, or I don't have that money to put into this. And so we're starting to see a lot of that realization hit in the seniors housing industry, which those kind of communities are the perfect opportunities for us. And either, like, I've got several that I'm looking at right now where the REIT it's a REIT that's an owner, and to them, these communities are just a hassle, and they would rather be done and get them off their books, get off the debt, and move on with the other areas of their business that are more profitable.
Well, and I think maybe there's some value coming from those folks too, because I think there'll be some opportunities, and sometimes just patience a little bit and timing and everything else. But you explain why you need to be with somebody who really knows what they're doing and is in this for the long term.
Yeah.
Everything in my life that people have chased short term has never worked out well for them.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they were mortgage brokers in 2005 making $1 million a year, and then they were, working at Taco Bell in 2011. I mean, nothing wrong with people who are working at Taco Bell. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to you have to build long-term. And it's one of the things that Nelson Nash was so brilliant at, because he was a forester. So when he talked about infinite banking, but one of the things that I think about, like with capital calls and things like that are happening out there in the real estate world, well, if I have my own bank, like I'm doing infinite banking, and I've got this money sitting there waiting for emergencies and opportunities, there's going to be both right now.
Yeah.
And when I can get that access to that money, and I can actually use the insurance company's money, so my money stays in there growing, tax-free, guaranteed every day, and the insurance company has to give me an interest-only loan. So now that means this capital call of $500,000 that I get or something, I'm just making, like, something that would make most people shiver. Guess what? I'm only paying the interest on that while I have that money out. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I can handle that a lot better. So I'm a lot more stable. But I've heard over and over and over again, capital call, whatever, with people lately. And it's like, if you had the infinite banking system, you wouldn't worry as much, right? Because again, on $100,000, it's going to cost me $5,000, and I don't have to pay it till the next year.
Yeah.
So, I got time. But when it's like, hey, write a check, and that came out of my, my checking account or some other cash account, and now that hurts me, that's a big difference.
Stings.
Yeah. So, Kyle, how do people get a hold of you, or how do they learn more about what you do, and how do they ask you questions and things like that people in the audience might have?
Sure. Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn. We are developing our presence as well on Facebook, Instagram. My email address, it's pretty simple: kyle.bourne@unbridledliv.com. So yeah, going to the website, which is unbridledliv.com, and contacting us. I mean, obviously that's going to come. I'm going to see that. or shooting me an email is probably, or even a message on LinkedIn is, those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. And love to talk to anybody. And
It's amazing, how time changes, Kyle. You're a young guy, but you have all these ways to get a hold of somebody, and it's not the phone. Hey, just call me. Here's my phone number. It's just funny, just how life changes, and it changes for the better in a lot of ways. And as long as you don't lose sight of the values that never change for thousands of years, then you're going to be okay, because the rest of it's just kind of noise and society and how it kind of goes along. But what I really like, Kyle, is that you are thinking about this long term, because you said that in the very beginning, and that, hey, we're not looking for somebody looking for this right away. And that also allows you not to get blindsided like some of these other, like you said, REITs. REITs are famous for that. They've been doing it forever, and I mean forever. And so, I would encourage people to, just like everything else, educate yourself. And when you go on the website and look at the free resources and things, and then you have questions, reach out to Kyle and his team and get some questions answered. So, all right, Kyle, I'll put you on the hot spot for a second. What's the best advice? You've obviously been very successful. I know you guys are really good at what you do. And, I also like that you're humble, because you didn't say we have this much real estate under management and all that stuff. I know how much you have. So, and it's impressive. That's what I would tell the audience. I'll let Kyle tell you on a one-to-one basis, but I like that you didn't come on and brag. It's like, hey, we know what we're doing, and we're looking for people like this. But along the way, to become so successful, somebody had to give you some good advice, whether it was your parents or your pastor or somebody. What's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
I'd say the best advice is that I was ever given was, it's probably a couple things combined together. It was one, always, whatever you do it with integrity. This is, we're in the, you as well as me, we're in the integrity business. If people can't trust what you say, they can't trust your word. And if you do things at the end of the day or cut corners for any variety of different areas of the investment world, it will kill you, and it will really harm people as well. So the biggest thing was, whatever you're doing, do it with integrity. And the other two are, I would say, is, you persevere. There's obviously if you've been in any type of business, but especially investments and real estate long enough, you know that perseverance, during the troubled times, and trying to, no matter what, you keep going on and you keep looking, not viewing things as problems, but really as opportunities. That along with giving it 110%, whatever you do, those have been the best things that I've ever been told, and they're true. But I think the biggest thing is integrity. And so just being giving anybody, talking to investors, talking to business partners, not trying to promise the moon, not trying to say, oh, look at all the great things that we can do for you. It's just being real, being honest, and you're in the stewardship business, right? You're taking, people have worked hard a long time to earn the money that they're entrusting you with. So that I take that extremely seriously. And
I love that. I love all of those 3 points. Integrity is, like you said, the number one thing, because what you have to do, I think, especially if you're a young person starting off in life, is, just find your niche. Mm-hmm. But then if you approach it with integrity, with honor, with humility, then like you said, you have to persevere through it, because there will be, it's like when if you're a person of faith and you really, if your walk is like on point, you will be attacked. There will be noise. There will be attacks. And all you have to do is persevere through it. I always take it as, in that case, I take it as a compliment. I must be getting close. My heart must be in the right place, because I am getting pounded right?
Oh yeah.
And so I really like that. All right, Kyle. Also, last question. If God came down from heaven and only allowed you to retain the knowledge that you've received from one book you've read, not the Bible, what would that book be?
Oh, that is a really good question because there's so many good books. Gosh, if we're, I would say, Good to Great.
I love
That's
it. I
that's
love it.
the that's the one that jumps immediately to mind because it's you're trying as you ask the question. I'm thinking through. Okay, am I talking about like a personal book, or am I talking about something business related? But I would answer it with that because I think you can apply that not just to business and your career and doing that, but it's a concept that's transferable to your life.
Yeah, going
As
from
well.
level 4 to level 5, you could do that as a parent too, right? Like you don't want to be the parent that's like, "Hey, let me tell you how great I am," and therefore, it makes me think of Coach Prime out there in Colorado. And one of the things that I got to tell you, somebody asked me the other day, "Are you on Team Prime or not on Team Prime?" I don't care if he wins another game. I love what he's teaching those kids,
Yeah.
and and I love that he's doing it the right way, and he's
Hmm.
not making apologies for anything. It's like, hey, this is me. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, okay. If you want to doubt it, doubt it. I'm okay with that too. So,
Yeah.
I got to tell a quick story. One time, I had this guy that was working for this. He was like a president of. He wasn't a president. He was like 3 levels down from this insurance company that I was thinking about using. And we're not insurance agents, but we set the insurance contract up so people can do infinite banking. And he said to me, Jim, like, I'm not sure that had no idea how successful I was in life. He said, I'm not sure your ego is strong enough. Your ego drive, excuse me, is strong enough to be super successful in this industry.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not in this industry, but thank you. Number two is I'm going to send you a book, and I really hope you read it. And I sent him Good to Great
Nice.
because, as you know, I want to be a servant leader, and it doesn't need to be all about me. That's not how I lead. I want it to be about my people and their success, including my clients. And I know I sense that that's part of what you like about that book too.
Yeah. No, it's you want your, I think the big thing is it's, like you said, it's your clients, it's you personally, but it's the people who, work for you, work with you. It's just, I really do believe in kind of that win-win philosophy. And there's not a limited amount of wins that are out there. If I win, somebody else loses. That's just, there's people who approach it really cutthroat like that, but life's too short, and that's just, that's not something I'm interested in doing.
I grew up with them in the business world, Kyle, and I can tell you that I feel sorry for them if they're still doing that at my age at 58, because the when I heard Zig Ziglar was the first person I heard say, if you want something or help people get what they want, and you'll get more than what you expect or more than what you want in return. Like, you'll get more than you expect, right?
Right.
Just help other people get what they want. I had to hear that. I was a slow learner in my 20s, and I had to hear that 10 times, and then the 10th time it was like magic. Oh, because the first time I heard it was like, oh yeah, that's really cool, but you know what? I got to pay the bills.
Yep.
Like, it's got to be like, I got to go do this, and then it was like, no, I got to get to 100,000 of income. Then I got to get to 250. I had these things in my head, and it was about money and numbers. And I thought that's what wealth meant. But as I got older and I learned, and it was revealed to me that doesn't have anything to do with wealth.
Yeah.
Is wealth is being a servant, helping other people. And when you do, just like Zig Ziglar said, I have way more than I ever expected. I have way more than I deserve. And it's all by just trying to help other people. So I feel you have that heart too. So I commend you on that. All right, Kyle. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for being on the show. And I really encourage everyone to go to Kyle's website and look at the resources, reach out, ask questions, and see if this is right for you, because this sector makes sense to me. And, it's about your mindset, Kyle. So thank you so much for having a great mindset. And we're going to end this episode like we do all episodes with the great words of Earl Nightingale. So take it away, Earl.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to hear what was shared on today's podcast. If you are looking to discover new wealth building strategies, then go to community.createtailwind.com. That's community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free courses and in-depth training videos designed to help you build wealth and break away from the herd. Click the link in the show notes to access the community today. Thanks again for listening.